Okay, good to see everybody. Welcome back. Excited. Good to see Willie sitting here. That's caught me off guard. That's good to see. But just excited to get the guys back in the building. We've had our meetings, we've had our walkthrough. Excited to get out there to practice. As you all know, this is an easing in process for us, mandated by the league, but at the same time, we want to do a good job of introducing our players to how we want to practice again and what our schemes are. And so again, start this training camp off the right way. So excited to get them out there.
Can you provide a little bit more insight as to why Trent Brown was placed on the non-football injury list?
Yeah, he had some tightness, and so again, just trying to be smart, especially some of these veteran guys. Give him a chance to be with the trainer. Who knows how many days? Could be a couple days, and then see where he's at. And you know, him and like several veterans, it's easy. We made the statement before. We kind of know what we've got from a ability standpoint. Now it's just managing those guys during training camp. So we wanted to make the smart decision with him and ease him into this.
Coach, leaders tend to, observe other leaders, pick their brain, kind of see what they can learn and give and take. Did you spend any time this offseason, maybe just hanging out with anybody?
That is a wild question you just asked me because, and you would never have known this. I got to meet Brad Stevens the other night, just coincidentally at a charity thing. We didn't talk, but for maybe 2 minutes. And I didn't get a chance to really say to him other than congratulations on the success they had this year. But he's been somebody I've always watched press conferences and just how he handled himself. And it was awesome to see the Celtics win the championship this year, the work he and all the others have put in there. Very humble guy. I think that's why I really respect the work he's done coming from Butler to Boston. And so just at the Lotto Hotel the other night, I got a chance to meet him. Didn't get to say much to him other than, just somebody I've always had a lot of respect for. I started laughing when you asked that question because just coincidentally, he's a guy, in all sports that I've always admired from afar.
Zac Taylor didn't do a ton in mini camp. Do you expect him to do everything team-wise in training camp?
There's a couple guys I've talked to that will have a plan early in place, and especially with T and Jamar. I got up there and I installed this morning, and it's fast and furious. We put a lot of pass game in day one because guys like Joe, T, Jamar, they've been doing this for a long time. They can handle a lot. And so my communication with those two is early on, we're going to let a lot of guys get these reps, a lot of young guys get their feet wet. So I've got a plan for Jamar, a plan for T. Done a great job communicating with those guys. So you'll see Jamar limited today, not doing much. T tomorrow, not doing much. We got a plan for Burrow. Again, a guy coming off an injury who's great, healthy, but trying to be proactive early in camp, like I mentioned the other day. And so those guys will each kind of have their time where they're minimized and other guys get the opportunity. You'll see Cam Taylor-Britt got his tonsils taken out about a week ago, so he won't be able to do much probably over the course of this week. We'll have to take a day-to-day with him. But he's another guy you'll see out there not doing anything because of that. I don't know that I'm missing. There's nobody else really unexpected. DJ Ivy on PUP and Erica on PUP coming off injuries from last season. But those are the main ones.
With guys like Trent, Cam, and even Jamar and T, you have young guys behind them.
Yeah.
How important is this week for them, whether it's Jermaine in the corners, etc.?
Well, it's big, especially in the install phase, getting the young guys the reps and getting their confidence at a high level. Again, those guys you just mentioned, Trent Brown, Cam Taylor-Britt, Jamar T, they've gotten a lot of reps in this league, and we kind of know what the expectations are for them. And so opportunities for guys like Amarius, young corners to get out there and work. We got competition at the corner spot, so it kind of hits us the right way. You're trying to develop depth and trying to get young guys going. For these guys, that's to be limited in some ways, and some of the younger guys need a lot of reps.
Zac, I know it's day one of camp. You've been with a lot of these guys all offseason. Do you feel like they come in with kind of a championship mindset and expectation about what it's supposed to look like every day?
I think we talked quite a bit about that, just in 24 hours of what the expectations are. And there's a lot of guys in the rooms that have played in Super Bowls, played for national championships. And so you look around the room and guys know what it's supposed to look like. And we're certainly at the point where, the coaches have to hold everybody accountable, but so do the players. And they're embracing that mentality. We'll see how it goes as training camp goes, but I have high expectations for the standard they're going to set for themselves and for their teammates, and excited to see and watch them work that way.
What are you hoping to see, expecting to see from Jermaine Burton? Hoping and expecting
Progress. Just like any young player, just continue to make progress, minimize repeat mistakes. is that my watch or is that, I can't tell what that is. Trying to minimize repeat mistakes, that's the biggest thing, because again, we're putting a lot on their plates, and so just go study on your own, come back the next day, ready for the new install, ready to not repeat the same errors and continue to make progress and expect to see that from those guys.
Last year, T, a lot of hype heading into the season. Injuries ended up being a big part of it. Had some great games mixed in there. Kind of, what's the next step to kind of a more consistent all-around year for T, and the next step for him this year?
Man, I mean, he's I think played at a really high level, made some big plays for us. Again, we're always trying to keep our core guys as healthy as possible, especially through training camp, so that when we get to the season and the meaningful part of things, they're ready to go. And I think, seeing T come back and Jamar come back over the course of the summer, they've done a great job preparing for training camp, getting themselves in shape and ready to hit the ground running that way.
Zach today, like for the first couple of days, is the plan, is it a limited plan at all? Is it time on and off or days, or how do you plan on kind of
More days. And again, it's just, we got 2-3 day stretches early in camp. And so I've got to be proactive with a lot of our guys to make sure that once we get to the second week of training camp, we're in great shape. And so those guys will want to practice every single day. That's my call. Not so much for Joe, more of just, hey, when we're out there, let's practice. And on the days we're not throwing. And again, that may just be very few early on because he feels really good.
How does he look to you? I mean, he looks big. I mean, does he look bigger to you?
He is bigger, so he looks bigger because he is bigger.
Does that mean anything? I mean, does that mean anything?
I think it's a good thing. He is now seen. He's going in his 5th year in this league. He knows exactly what to expect to get himself through a season and what he needs to do. And there's not a lot of conversation that needs to happen at him. He knows how his body feels and how he does best. He's got great support around him. And so, for him to come back looking the way he did, obviously, that meant something to him. He put a lot of work into it. And so, again, I think he's at the right spot for himself right now.
How big of a camp is this for Miles Murphy? And if you want to throw in other second-year players, third-year players, Joseph Asai, for instance, how big of a camp is it?
I think just talking about the second-year players, I think there's a lot of guys. I always feel this way once they get through their rookie year. They've been through an off-season, training camp season. Understand the expectations for them. Understand what they should expect of themselves. I think Miles is a guy that I'm really excited to watch work. DJ Turner, Andre Yosibas, Charlie Jones, many more guys in that mix. So really excited to watch those guys get out here in training camp. Second year now, and we obviously have high expectations for those guys.
You mentioned the possibility of starters playing in the preseason, got 2 joint practices. Overall, will there just be more kind of activity and more maybe like physicality if you look at the plan this summer?
The physicality part, when we're allowed to be in pads, we're going to be in pads. That's what we do here. That's what we've always done. There will be more activity seemingly because we have, instead of 1 joint practice, 2. Do intend to get the starters out there in the preseason. To what capacity, haven't determined that yet. But so there'll be more excitement, I think, from the media and the fan base getting to see our guys go against another team, more so in the preseason than we've done in the past. And I think that's exciting for our guys as well.
With Trent Brown, an on-football injury list, what does that mean for Amarius the first few days, and what do you want to see from Amarius here early in his first training camp?
Opportunity, and no different than what I just talked about with Jermaine. Minimize the repeat mistakes, continue to make progress. There comes a point, 5th or 6th day, where it's a big install and there's a lot on your plate, and that's going to require time by yourself to spend time in the hotel, spend time at lunch, reviewing, doing your own work. Because, like I expressed to the offense, there's a lot of guys back, and so we're going to hit the ground running and not hold everybody's hand. We're going to coach you up as best we can and spend a lot of time with younger guys, but at the same time, there is an expectation that this thing's gonna keep moving, and you got to catch up and prove yourself very quickly. And Amari, so far, like I've stated before, he's done everything that we had hoped he would do. Now we just get a chance to put on the pads and he gets to go do his job.
There's been a lot of talk, Zach, about faster starts to a season, but you're also in the same boat where you're trying to ease in some of your veteran players. How do you massage that so you're taking care of them, getting them ready, but also that this team's ready to play?
That's not something we really talk about. I think questions get thrown at us that way because we haven't won that first game and we've started slow with the record. But our process has got to remain our process. We have to make sure that our guys are practicing the right way and our team is gelling so that when it comes time to play the New England Patriots, we're ready to put our best foot forward. And so, Again, it's not, hey, let's start fast. We have so much more work to do before we get to that point and have those conversations. Those guys understand it. It's time to work, and they're excited to do it.
Is it
For
easier
that
to
number-
start camp the way you are, where you're limiting some of the veterans and key starters because you have those joint practices, because you know you're going to play them in the preseason at some point as well?
It doesn't hurt. It's just we look at such a big picture overview of what we need to get done during training camp and where we need guys to be progressing at the right times. And you want those young guys to be putting their best foot forward when we go play Tampa Bay, when we're practicing against Chicago. You want them to have the confidence to show, okay, I've been playing against my defense for 2 weeks now. Now I'm going to show the real opponent. Let's show this team and our staff what I can do. And so we're going to try to give those guys every opportunity to feel confident when they walk on the field against a new scheme and new defense and new coordinators, and be able to show why they're here. And so we'll provide them plenty of opportunity to do that.
Zach, when you met with Lou, how do you guys balance in the secondary when you have a couple of new pieces and you really want to use these camp practices to get more cohesive, the balance between a battle for a starting spot at corner between Dax and DJ? Like, how do you balance all of that?
There's so much opportunity, and so what I would say is don't read too much into depth chart, especially early in training camp, because guys are going to get reps. There's going to be guys down, just the way it goes with skill guys over the course of camp, where guys are getting a lot of reps due to injuries and things like that. So, early on, these guys are going to get a ton of reps. Doesn't matter what unit they're with, they're going to get opportunity to communicate, to work their technique the right way, to cover guys one-on-one. So it doesn't matter who they're going against or who they're going with. They're going to get that opportunity, especially early in camp. And then as camp goes, we start playing these preseason games. Then maybe you can read more into the depth chart and who's with what group. But right now, I don't think that matters as much, and those guys are going to get plenty of opportunities.
You talked a lot about the number of veterans that you have, saying that you're not going to hold guys' hands necessarily in this training camp. Does day one of this year's training camp feel any different in that way or in any other ways than years past on day one of training camp?
I think you look at the roster, there's key players who are young, and so you say, we got a lot of youth, but we do have a lot of veterans. And so I don't know if maybe it does feel different that way. Like, I look around, and maybe it's because you get Von Bell back and you had Geno Stone, and so you had some guys at key positions that have experience that you trust. I can't remember what I sat up here and felt 1 year ago today. I truthfully can't, but I am excited about the mix of veteranness and youthfulness in this team.
What will define a successful camp to you?
I don't know that I can give a great definition of that. I told the players they've got their own standards they got to hold each other to every single day, and they know what it looks like. They know what winning football looks like. And I mentioned just the championships guys have played in on this roster, so they know what that's supposed to look like when we come off the sideline to get in the huddle, when we break the huddle to come to the line of scrimmage, the way we communicate. They know what a championship level team looks like, and so that's my expectation, and we'll manage that day to day and see where we come out at the end of training camp.
There's a great opportunity there for some young receivers with TP gone now for that third spot. What are you telling them, and what do you want to see from those guys?
Control what they can control. It doesn't matter what group they're going with, who's throwing them the ball. We can see, we watch the tape. They've got plenty of opportunity to make impressions. That's a group. There's a lot of talent in the receiver room, and there's a lot of youth in the receiver room. And so I think it'll be a really exciting group to watch, take advantage of their opportunities, and I'm not going to make any guesses on how it's going to play out right now. Those guys are going to get opportunities to rise and shine and prove themselves that they should be getting opportunity when we get out there on the field in September.
Is there anything about the opportunities that players get in the readiness for training camp?
Go.
Sorry. Personally, though, as coach, is training camp or regular season more exciting for you to look forward to? How do you weigh either of those?
Very different. I don't even compare the two because it's two different seasons to me. It's training camp is managing these guys and making sure they're ready for practice and making sure we got everything installed, and the season becomes so isolated week to week that it feels very different to me personally. And so just kind of two different seasons there. We're in training camp season, and just trying to make sure everybody gets opportunity so we can assess how they're going to help the team. And once the season comes, man, we're getting ready for everything.
Will the number of snaps that the players take during preseason games be determined and dictated by what happens during joint practices basically?
You know, I can't even truthfully answer that today. We'll see where we're at in 2 weeks. We'll have much more in-depth conversations with the coaches as we get closer to the game. But I'm allowed a lot of flexibility there on what it's all going to look like on game day in the preseason.
Is there anything about your message this year that's different or that you wanted to emphasize?
We don't even have players in the locker room, and it's already. Go ahead.
Is there anything? I think those are the workers.
Yeah, workers.
Is there anything new about your message or that's different from years past? Is there anything that you wanted to emphasize this year that maybe you haven't emphasized in years past?
I mean, no, nothing different. I mean, our everyone knows what our path needs to be. You've got to show yourself in this division to be the best, to give yourself the best chance to achieve the ultimate. And so we've been very clear with that with our players. They know that expectation. We know that expectation. I think our whole fan base has the same expectation. And so we're all very much aligned.
Coach, you have any Taylor family vacation this offseason?
I took a quick trips. That was it. You know, it's really, I kind of take my wife in the springtime. That's a little bit more relaxing for me. In the summertime, it's hard to relax that much. So I like to be in town, but I did some quick hitters. Took my sons to New York for Yankees-Reds game. Reds won. That was awesome. One day. Took my son to San Francisco for 2 days. That was awesome. And so really, we took one family trip to Chicago for 2 days as well. So some quick hitters. Good to get some family time, but we're ready to go for training camp.
Did you ever dye your hair blonde when you were younger?
I've had the same haircut for 41 years. Good or bad, I don't know.
What do you think of Joe's haircut?
If Joe likes it, I feel good about it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you.
That's what she
You know, naturally, it's gonna be bad.